Awaken from Stuttering, The Truth to Perfect Speech by Deeterr and Snezhko. Chapter 2.
Understanding a business system.
The Crooked Mirror of the Greedy System of Lies.
A person is born initially free of lies and truth. He is ignorant from birth. His mind and body are informationally empty. Everything is difficult for a child because he knows nothing and has no skills to do anything. With his eyes and ears wide open, he begins to observe everything around and imitate indiscriminately what he sees and hears. Just like other animals, human babies also fill their minds and bodies with knowledge and experience through observation and copying the actions of others. They are not capable yet of recognizing the difference between what is useful to them and what is not. Children resonate with their surroundings in the same way how a boat bobbing on the surface of the ocean resonates with the waves. This natural phenomenon is called the natural law of resonance and similarity. Imitation or mirroring is the primary innate reflex of all living beings endowed with consciousness. It is an inborn property of self-learning for all living intelligent creatures. The entire social life of people is purely built on imitation. The one who does not imitate is unteachable. Such a person will never be able to adapt to life in society. The picture of the world that appears before the eyes of a newborn baby is relatively real, stable, and accurate. From birth, each of us is immersed in a reality common to all people. We observe it through our eyes, ears, and other sensory organs of perception. This waking dream is identical for all people, but each of us sees it in our own way, from our own point of view. Accepting everything as worthy of imitation, children align their minds and bodies with the information waves of this dream. They simply copy all the observed movements around them. The child watches and imitates everything attractive that comes into the field of his attention. He has no idea yet what is useful and safe, and what is harmful and dangerous for him to imitate. He has no understanding of what is good for him and what is bad. A child is not familiar with the concepts of true and false, since he does not yet know how to speak or read. Besides, he doesn't have enough life experience to determine whether the written corresponds to reality. He is also not aware of what illusion is, because he has not yet seen a magician who would show him a deception of perception.
Now imagine that suddenly a distorting mirror appears in front of him and greatly distorts the common reality. He begins to perceive the world through this warped glass and sees something completely different from what actually surrounds him. This is not a small mirror in a frame they hang on the walls in funhouses. The child falls under the influence of a huge and limitless system of lies. It is the informational field of advertising fantasies of the business matrix.
For the business system, a child is not a living individual, but simply a business project, a commodity, a number. The more misconceptions he has, the more difficulties he encounters, and therefore, the more paid help the system can offer to him. A person begins to reflect the commercial disinformation of the system from birth. He involuntarily resonates with its lies. At first, this happens through the restless speech of his parents, zombified by the system of commodity money relations and advertising calls to purchase something completely unnecessary and downright harmful. In addition to growing up in an information field distorted by advertisements, the baby is also influenced by his mom and dad, who themselves are often stutterers or neurotics. Copying their abnormal behavior does not in any way contribute to the normal development of the child. Zombification of a person and confusing him by replacing good with evil continues through the educational standards of preschool, school, college, and other free and paid education by the system. There, each new zombie of the system is instilled with the aggressive, competitive, high-speed thinking of a neurotic person suppressed by the endless stress of not having enough time. Like a horse in a race, he runs through life in the struggle for leadership until he dies from both the fear of not being on time and the complete exhaustion of his energy.
The terms business structure, system of lies, and matrix are synonyms. The word matrix became more popular in connection with the American movie of the same name, released in 1999. The film quite deeply explored the theme of the confrontation between the abundance of freedom of a living person and the shortage of a paid, soulless system machine. One of the characters, named Morpheus, called the Matrix a false picture of the world pulled over the eyes of people to hide from them the picture of the true, real world. He also defined a man as a slave born in the prison of his own mind, distorted by false concepts. The sad story about the mysterious and incurable stuttering perfectly confirms the correctness of these analogies. The matrix is a soulless and deceitful social and financial structure created for the enslavement of people by distorting their perceptions and deceptively feeding on their spiritual energy and working time.
The goal of the matrix is to use a lie to lure a sovereign, abundant, and self-sufficient person into an energy-deficient mechanical system and turn him into its eternal battery in exchange for systemic money and toys. According to the idea of the matrix, people should not live and enjoy their existence, but continuously and constantly fight. As long as they live in the state of suffering and aggression, it doesn't matter what they are fighting for. A system servant is constantly called upon to fight from birth to death for peace, freedom, equality, brotherhood, money, power, love, justice, family, rights, life, and other systemic causes. But when will he finally begin to live and enjoy his life instead of struggling and suffering? Only when he realizes his personal abundance, free will, and leave the matrix with its eternal war against something, someone, or for the sake of anything.
Let's look at people who stutter. What are they fighting for? For a beautiful speech. What are they fighting with? Well, of course, with a terrible stuttering. The system told them so many fairy tales about it that they could not help but believe in its existence. But does such a mystery disorder really exist? Read on, and you will find the right answer to this question. The matrix appears in front of the observer like a vampire, a mediator between reality and himself. Looking at true reality through the matrix is similar to looking in a distorting mirror. Terrible, aggressive monster enemies and scary dangers are constantly looking at people from there.
The matrix is exactly such a curved glass of fantasy education. It is this mental intermediary that a person needs to get rid of to free himself from systemic stressful thinking, become normal, self-sufficient, peaceful, and thrive in the surrounding reality of security and abundance. To look at the world directly, a person just needs to get rid of the frightening mirror of lies. It is the same with people who stutter. The first thing they need to do to get rid of stuttering is to stop looking at the world through the crooked glass of systemic lies. After all, while they are trying to move their usta according to the tricky methods of the deceiving system and trust the distorted picture of its false advice, they cannot avoid disorientation, hesitation, and stupor. Systemic thinking is a set of fantasies, a confusion of thoughts completely inadequate to reality. It inevitably puts a person's usta into a stupor, signaling to him that he is on the wrong militant path.
The dishonest matrix distorts people's minds, forcing them to inaccurately see the world around them. Everything that can make them free and happy is called bad, but things that plunge them into complete dependence on the system are presented as good. By not allowing a person to directly see the truth of abundance, the matrix lies block his ability to act correctly for his own benefit. The advertising fiction about shortages imperceptibly penetrates his mind and body and forces him to do whatever it takes. Work hard, grow spiritually, strive for freedom, and do thousands of other useless things that in reality are robbing people of energy, of their will and health. As a result of harming themselves through their supposedly good behavior, millions of confused simpletons experience great suffering. But due to their energy, the matrix comfortably exists, multiplies, and prospers. Without those false goals, slogans, irrational human movements, and their strong emotions as they are forcing the speedy implementation of the promoted result, the system languishes like a car without fuel.
For a person to be free to act for his benefit at any moment, he needs to completely clear his mind of all delusional matrix fantasies imposed by the system, aiming to increase its income. It is necessary to discard everything imaginary and begin to rely on things that actually exist. Any billboard thought is a mental intermediary that infiltrates the space between the observer and the observed reality. This destructive intermediary must be eliminated. One's consciousness should be completely freed of the business-oriented matrix with its lies about the existence of a stuttering disorder and numerous methods of treating it. A person who stutters simply needs to see the abundant speech reality of the usta word and the simple, natural norms of its voicing with his own usta.
For its comfortable existence, the intermediary system needs human hamsters to run inside its wheel all their lives, so they constantly generate the energy it needs. To achieve this, the all-powerful business system keeps millions of people in ignorance and fear. With the help of a wide variety of lies, it forces them to remain its slaves, meekly giving it their mental strength and time. In return, the system gives them money to buy certain systemic desires, that is, only those that they are allowed to have. Any non-systemic desire that gives a person energetic and mental independence from the system is prohibited and even punishable. For example, you can buy thousands of techniques for stuttering treatment and receive endless speech therapy sessions in hundreds of clinics around the world. This is very beneficial to the business system. Therefore, it allows such desires.
However, giving you the opportunity to independently and free of charge get used to the natural norms of the Usta speech in just 3 days is forbidden. The obtained speech independence of a stutterer will no longer bring any profit to the system budget. Therefore, you are by no means permitted to be free from stuttering completely and forever. Self-sufficiency, sanity, sovereignty, and independence are strictly prohibited in the system.